Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. TerraPlex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from TerraPlex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with TerraPlex Ag. Visit TerraPlexAg.com.
Every year, you have a choice. One that says staying independent and family-owned means something on your farm. So plant your independence. Plant Wivels.
All right, let's get after it. It's game week. We are fired up, ready to go. My name is Chris Williams. I'm joined as always by Brent Blum. We are in the Wild Rose Casino Studios. I do have to make an apology that we had a little bit of an equipment snafu, and we are not in the same room, but that will change next week, I promise. Believe it or not, we are doing a lot of like tech things right now with a lot of different places, and all of my headsets are still in the same place that they were when we did the Rocco Beck show, as you were a part of that, Bloom. So I apologize. So no English tonight. I do believe that Aiden is going to go in and try and put the yakety sax in over our Guess the Point Spread conversation later on in the program. But I hope it's, hey, week one for us too, right, Bloom? How are you?
Getting back at it. And I know, those people who anti-sax, you're happy. If you're pro-sax next week, or at least you get like a half dose. Half dose if you're listening.
The only difference will be that we can't hear it while we're making the picks. And
by the way, nice hat.
Thank you. You too.
Nice hat.
Did you know, and we didn't even plan this, I did, Bloom didn't, you can buy these Cyclone Fanatic rope hats now, Cyclone Fanatic shop. They are on there. You'll look for, so these also, if you want them, I wore this to Leclerc, and I mean, I had like 15 people ask, where can I buy that? We only have a limited number of these. These were special ordered. These aren't like, we don't have like a plethora of these. So I think we have like 50 total to sell. And we want to sell them all this week so we don't have to just sit on them. So people always ask me, hey, how can I support Cyclone Fanatic? Thanks for all the free content. Here you go. This is a way. Supports our friends in Perry over at the Martz family and all that they do as well. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. They are, I believe, on the shop right now. I think Mart's got them up there. Okay, so it's game week. We are presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne, the Mechdyne Corporation in the Wild Rose Casino Studios. Have yourself a Cody Road. Go pick up that bottle of Cyclone Fanatic Cody Road that is on, I think it's on shelves everywhere. If it's not yet, it will be very, very soon. The Fighting Sioux of North Dakota are ready to invade Story County. Don't get these people mixed up with North Dakota State. These people actually have character. Sorry, North Dakota State.
Oh, C-Dub,
apologize to a couple members of the staff, but
you're old school. They're no longer the Fighting Sioux. They dropped that.
Are you serious? When did they drop that?
I think like 5 years ago.
Because when TJ was in the Summit, they were still the Fighting Sioux.
Well, they're now the Fighting Hawks. So Iowa State gets back-to-back Hawks on the schedule.
Gross. I apologize. I'm trying to offend anybody.
No, I know you weren't.
That wasn't like me saying something ironic, like just to be a dick, like
No,
that. I really annoyed.
I bet that's news for a lot of folks. So yes, Iowa State is playing the Fighting Hawks.
No, for real though. Like when TJ was at South Dakota State, they played him all the time, and that's why. And there was like an old Hawk that was the coach there.
Oh,
do you remember? Because Graham got in a fight with him that one time.
It wasn't Greg Lansing. It was Jones. What was that gentleman's name? Yeah, he got fired.
Remember that. McCaffrey like wouldn't shake his hand.
Yes, it was that
after
guy.
That game.
That's right. That's right.
This classic, vintage Fran McCaffrey. So we'll start with that. Full disclosure, Blum knows a lot more about that team than I do. I will get boned up here as the week rolls along. I think Iowa State's going to destroy this team in week 1 for what it's worth. From what I know about this team, I'll let Blum give his expertise. Also have an announcement I want to make here to start off the show, as we are constantly evolving our programming and everything we bring to you, Cyclone Nation. And we have 2 new shows to go through real quick. First one, this will be replacing the old Fart. Fart is no longer. Fart is dead. Woody and Mahoney have been doing a phenomenal job. I think they have Pate coming on. Pate State coming on this week. So
legend, Cyclone legend, Josh Pate.
Those guys are killing it, and I want them to focus on what they are doing and continuing to build that brand. We have a new edition of No Fart is Dead. This will be called the Inside Zone. This was the boys came up with it. It will be our buddy Colin Newell. Go get your insurance from him. It will be former Cyclone running back Jyrell Brock and former Iowa State lineman Jake Remsburg. They will be the players. They will be recording this on Sunday nights and giving insight on the game. What did they see? This is a football-heavy show. Not a lot of riff-raff in this one. The boys are going to talk football, and they will be hosted by the lovely Jacqueline Cordova, who has come so far. She's done such a great, just a lovely individual who is like a part of my family, and just proud of her. And I know she's going to do a great job steering the ship. And that's what we want from here. We don't need another talking head. We need a intelligent human to steer the ship, and she's going to do that really, really well with those 3 gentlemen. And I always like the player perspective, Blum, you 100%. Know? So now we've got 5 former players who are commentating on Iowa State football and Cyclone Fanatic throughout the week. That's pretty sweet.
And Remsburg played literally a year ago, Jyrell 2 years ago, Newell 3 years ago. So this is, they're, not only are they players, they are in this era. So they understand it, they get it. And also a couple offensive linemen on one show. My gosh.
Well, and that's why they came up with Inside Zone, because Jyrell would run it.
I love it.
There's another aspect of this, and I think that those guys really got a raw deal.
They did.
Anything I love the idea of bringing Jyrell and Jake back into the mix, and just, hey, these guys are as much Cyclones as Breece Hall and Brock Purdy, and open your arms to them and
awesome people.
Welcome them to our family. Jyrell also works for Mechdyne, which is our presenting sponsor. So there's a lot of, shared love in this relationship. And funny story, we were at the We Will event. This was the winter before all the gambling stuff.
Okay. Yep.
Jyrell and Jake were roommates and came up to me, and there's that one guy in the NFL, the wide receiver. He used to do a podcast for us. May have heard of him.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to drop names. We were Brock Purdy's first NIL deal, and Xavier Hutchinson used to do a podcast on this show.
No big deal.
No. Yeah. But they were like, hey, when he leaves, like, could we do something like that? They really wanted to do it because they envision themselves, especially Remsburg, more than Jyrell. I think Jake thinks that he's Pat McAfee, like Jake's a character.
He is.
But they came up to me and they said, like, we want to do this. Like, we have a lot to say. They wanted to do like NBA Finals podcasts and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table. And it's really inside stuff, like you said, because these guys are They played for Campbell. They know everybody there. They're not gonna if you're going to that show to hear them like crap all over their former teammates, don't, because it's impossible. I learned that early on when Austin Arnaud worked for us, and it's an unfair thing to ask them to do. But they're going to tell you, like, well, this is what we did well. You've heard Colin do it. Colin's done it for over a year here. He does it really well. I'm excited. I think it'll be a really great addition to what we do. The other thing, and these have grown so much over the years, it's become some of the most popular content we do, and nobody else does anything like it, is our pregame, halftime, and postgame shows. We are expanding this. I'll have another announcement in the next month. It's a done deal, but for basketball season, we're going to have a new contributor. But Leah Nelson, the former Iowa State softball player, she became a social media star with that West Virginia baseball team story that was all over the place. She was a journalism major. She's a fantastic human, gotten to know her. Aiden's very good friends with her. She is going to be our host.
Awesome.
This is good on a lot of reasons. One, Leah's a great young talent, and we love having her on our team. Two, and our softball team just got better, the slow pitch team, I feel like you guys should probably get tired of hearing me talk. And to have another voice, to have another somebody to guide me into, so I'm less rambling and less ranting and raving. And I think that it will. So Aiden's going to produce these. This will look more like a polished TV show compared to, just me flipping on the Facebook Live and getting after it from the press box, right? Like we're trying to expand this and keep growing. And the announcement here, so Leah's joining us, and we will be doing this for men's and women's basketball this year. So in the past, we've just done it for men's conference games. We will not do it for when Norfolk State is in town, but we're going to do it. So like when the women play South Carolina, like any of those games that matter, we'll be live for. And then all the Big 12 games for men's and women's basketball. So that's the announcement. We are making moves, wheeling and dealing, trying to evolve with the times.
There is an Iowa State athletic event from now, well, at least football, wrestling, basketball, until potentially April 5th. Every week. How about that? We made it, everybody. We've gotten through the off season, and really, kind of an uneventful off season, which was exciting. But now we're ready to go.
I think our audience got spoiled in recent years because we were getting a lot of like, man, there's, what are you guys talking about? Like, we had to do like 4 mailbag episodes.
The people on the message boards were getting a little restless. We got it to the point of the summer.
I'm sorry, there's no scandal.
We were arguing over dumb things, and that means there's nothing going on. But now we got stuff going on. Now we can argue about real things like, hey, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback, the 3 versus 4 man. What's wrong with the kicker? Hopefully not, but you get it. Like now we get into the real stuff.
Phenomenal. Ready to go. Real quick, Wednesday show. This is the last programming announcement. We will be up. So a lot of farmers listening. There's not a demographic in the world where we have grown more as a company than the agriculture industry. I had a talk with a farmer today about the amount of 30, 40-year-old farmers who don't do anything other than listen to podcasts while they're in the combine tractor, whatever they're doing. We'll be at Wiffles Hybrids, their open house for their new facility in Ames. We will be doing our show from there on Wednesday. So Wednesday's show will be on location at the new Wiffles in Ames. 5. We're on at 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 5 to 6. We will be doing that show. And then Bloom, you've got a bunch of athletes that are going to be there too.
I got athletes now. I've got Keyshawn Gilbert, Curtis Jones for the men's basketball team going to be there.
Nice.
And then Addie Brown and one Audie Crooks from the women's basketball
Addie
team.
And Audie, real quick. I know this wasn't a We Will thing, but it's all together.
Yeah.
Took Cameron, my 9-year-old, to their camp along with Kelsey Jones and Ariana Jackson. And they did such a good job. They did such a good job with those kids. I mean, I was blown away how well those 4 young women, because Lindsay Finley told me that they ran the whole thing.
Yep.
Like this was all on them. They told her, we want to do this. We just want you to be here to support us. Unbelievable
people.
Great turnout too.
Yeah.
Great turnout up there in Ankeny.
It's a great group. It's fun when you get to know them a little bit, and it's just like, gosh, you want them to do even better on the floor once you get to know them. But then also at that Wiffles event, I can't forget them because it was a big get. So Wiffles is the new official sponsor for Iowa State Wrestling. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, so good for them. And so we got the new heavyweight coming, Mr. Daniel Herrera, who is big time. So if you want to make a new heavyweight, come on out to.
Can we get that guy on our show?
Yeah, why not?
These wrestlers are different.
Yeah, this
you want a good quote, you talk to the wrestler. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't know if Herrera's done much media yet, but I was told that he's big time. So we're excited to get him to come to the event on Wednesday at Wiffles too. So we'll do some interviews. It won't just be us. We'll get
and at this point, okay, well, and we're gonna get into North Dakota now. We're not gonna have a lot to talk about with North Dakota anyway, so we may as well do a bunch of interviews. Get Keyshawn on, those guys like. You know what I'm saying? Like
your guy Kurt, you can just.
I'm a Curtis Jones. Me and Kurt can just go for an hour.
You can go and just talk to Curtis. Yeah,
Curtis Jones might be. He's not there yet, but after this year, he may be top 5 for me all time. I love the kid. I love the way he plays. I love about the stories about his recruitment. I love how humble he is. I love everything about him.
It's crazy because literally nobody else offered him. Even out of as a transfer, really. It was just like, nope, I think I'm going to go to Iowa State. Got a little, I think Curtis, is he reaching Naz? Me too long?
He's Tyrus McGee for me right now.
I mean,
Naz was just all here for so long. That was what made him
That's true. Naz made some monster shots, but Curtis hasn't really made a monster, like a game-winning type game time.
Remember that TCU game last year? Taman's not playing. We're all like,
oh, it's Keyshawn Curtis. That turned the season around.
Absolutely.
That game. That was because Iowa State was very concerned. I don't want to say that they were just waving the white flag, but they did not know what they were going to get in that game without Taman. And Jones and Gilbert really did well, and the rest is history.
Thank a couple of our sponsors, and we'll get going. You saw video ads if you're watching on YouTube from Terraplex Ag. They've been with us for about a year now. Really appreciate those guys. Huge supporters of everything we're doing here, and of course over at Iowa Everywhere as well. If you're not in the drone technology game as a farmer, you're getting left behind. I want to thank our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation. We wouldn't be here. Cyclone Fanatic wouldn't be here without them and how they stepped up to the plate for us right around when COVID hit, all that good stuff. We appreciate them more than ever. MoveWhatMatters.com. And also our friends at the Ivy College of Business. And Blum's former employer, great people over there, Dean Spalding. Go and look into that beautiful online degree, the graduate program. That's something I've always thought about. Don't have the time for it. I know that they're going to say, you're not supposed to say that. I just don't. I'm running too many companies and having too many young kids, but it's something I would consider in the future. The Ivy College of Business. Check them out today. North Dakota, Blum. Iowa State, the last I saw was a 27.5-point favorite in this game. And I would, not a betting podcast, but I would play Iowa State at that number.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just do the Cliff Notes version for North Dakota. I'm not going to pretend like I spent hours analyzing the tape, but here's what you need to know. Longtime head coach Bubba Schweigert, great football name, by the way.
Great name.
Bubba Schweigert. Seemed like a really good dude based on his press conference.
Bubba shot the jukebox last night. No. Anytime I can bring Mark Chestnut into the pod, I'm going to.
Who?
Mark Chestnut.
Doesn't ring
90s country star.
Okay. But Bubba seems like a good guy. Guy I could have an Ames lager with. Like, I think I'd enjoy that.
Should send him a case before the game.
However, Bubba's got a little bit of a situation going on. 38 new players this year for the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. 38. That's a lot. Normally, you'll have at that level 20 to 25. 38 is a bunch. They lost a bunch. C-Dub on the defensive line and the defensive secondary, and lost a quarterback, lost starting running back. Got a really good receiver. Offensive line is fairly veteran, I would say. But I would agree that this point spread is probably, if I were going to take a Big 12 team that went 6-3 last year in the Big 12 against an FCS team with 38 new players that lost to Sacramento State in the first round of the FCS playoffs, I think I'd put that exactly at 27.5 to 30, somewhere in there. I mean, this is a game where can weird things happen? Yes, we all saw the Drake game. Like, we remember that game. Now, we remember the circumstances around that game.
Nobody ever talks about the fact that the field was like a sinkhole that day.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, we've seen the UNI games. So two comps here. This team lost to UNI, the same team Iowa State beat 30-7 last year, 24-0 a year ago. But this team also beat Drake last year, 52-7. Again, comparing scores from the Drake game is irrelevant. I understand that. They are not North Dakota State or South Dakota State. And then they lost a bunch off a team that's been pretty productive. Like, their last 5 years have been really good up there. I would say this would be a rebuilding year for North Dakota as North Dakota goes. So I think that 27 to 30 point range is very appropriate. Weird things happen. Weird things happen. I get it, but come on now. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
This feels like a game where Iowa State goes out and maybe you're 3 and out in your first drive, and everybody's like, "Oh,
getting
the
nervous.
offensive line sucks again." And then all of a sudden, Rocco hits Higgins for 75 yards, and then you get a sack in enemy territory, and then all of a sudden you have great field position. You pop another one in. It's 14-0 with 5 to go in the first quarter. You're up 38-3, and Campbell completely just pulls off the dogs, and then if you are a betting person, whatever, you're sweating it out because it's just Matt's just running out the clock. He's getting the depth pieces of the offense time in a real game, and you're already in preparation mode for Iowa. That's how I think this plays out.
I actually think that's pretty good. I looking at North Dakota secondary relative to what some teams did to it last year and then losing several members of that secondary, I would be concerned if I were them, trying to defend Iowa State's weapons. And I think it's interesting because, a year ago, Iowa State was somewhat content to just run it against UNI and took the lead. I'm honestly interested in the first quarter. What does Mauser try to do? Like, does he establish himself early? Like, okay, this isn't 3 years ago. We're throwing it. We're throwing it a lot. And really just put it out of contention. Or they try and work in that offensive line. And, we've heard it. There are some. The offensive line will be a story this week. I don't know who's healthy and who's not. It's nobody's season ending, but there have been some guys who missed time in camp. Let's just put it that way. So we'll see kind of where that is and what that means for going forward. But in this game in particular, North Dakota is going to really have a real hard time trying to stay with Higgins and Knoll and Bramer. It's going to be a real tough for them. And Rocco's been so sharp all camp. This isn't like a year ago where you were like, just don't screw it up, buddy. It's Rocco, go have fun. And I agree with you. I think this thing could be, Iowa State could put up some big numbers in the first half and then just let it ride in the second half.
Well, and you mentioned it in passing, but this team has major problems at quarterback.
Yes, that's the other thing. So they had a 3-person quarterback competition this fall, lost the starting quarterback from a year ago who's really good. And the one who was expected to win didn't win the job, and he just jumped to the portal 2 days ago. He said, I'm out. So they got a guy who's, I don't think he's taken a snap at quarterback. He's 5'10", 180 pounds as a starting quarterback.
The problem with that is, one, you're facing much larger linemen than he ever has seen in his life in front of 60,000 people. And then you're looking at this super unique defense that is unlike anything this guy can prepare for. I think that Iowa State wins this game by 40.
Simon Romfo is the name of the quarterback. He put up monster numbers at like a tiny school in North Dakota. This is going to be new. And
I am glad they're not playing Northern Iowa. Isn't the opener so much more fun when that's not the case?
Yeah, I mean, this guy gives me some of those vibes of that one. Was it McIlvain? 2019?
Yeah, we just picking McIlvain.
He just ran around.
21, wasn't it? That was the year they almost beat Purdy and Brees and those guys.
It's 19 and 21 are all kind of both those games were way too close.
All those games just they're terrifying.
Terrifying, yeah. But so McIlvain, it might have been 21. I think you're right. McIlvain just run around like try to make play. This is what this guy does. So from that aspect, this guy could just run around and try and make something happen. Which
you
is
just
somewhat...
put yakety sax on while he's.
and you never know what's going to happen there. But I would say emphasis of Iowa State this year is to accumulate more sacks and tackles for loss. So I think they're going to come after Mr. Rome.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, like I led my analysis with conversation on the offense. This will be a 3-4 turnover game for the defense, and it sets the offense up well, and everybody feels really good going into Iowa. That's my prediction. But I've been very wrong before, but that's my prediction.
Hold on, Rome.
I don't give predictions on Sunday very often.
No, Romeful was 2 for 2 last year, and he did run it a bunch. Like he's a little running quarterback. So we'll see. I would think though, this is a game where as long as Iowa State takes care of the ball, it in the fourth quarter it should not be a competition.
Yeah, that's all I have on that because we have Big 12 expansion to talk about, and then we have guess the point spreads.
You
have anything else for this game?
We'll
have more obviously on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll have more on Wednesday. The old adage is, you go from the Fighting Hawks to the other Hawks, and how much you want to show there. That's obviously a vital game next week. We'll see. But in my opinion, if I'm Mauser and I'm on this offensive staff, I want to be aggressive. I don't want to
put stuff on tape.
I don't even care about the tape. Like I want to feel good going into Iowa.
That too, but I think the conversation that people screw up in week 1 is often like, oh, you don't want to show anything on tape. I put crap on tape that you're not going to do against them.
Exactly. I mean, this is not the thing with Iowa is they are what they are.
Yeah, they're not going to change.
It's not going to change. So I would get my offensive skill guys, a bunch of confidence. And then they feel really good going into week 2 because I think that's what Iowa State's going to need. That's going to be a hard-hitting game. You want to have Rocco, Jalen, and Jaden going, all right, our best is better than you. And so I think you unleash them. If somebody asks me, if Coach Mauser calls me, like, Bloom, what do you think we should do? I'm saying, Mouse, let it open. Like, go for it early. I know you want to run the ball to establish that offensive line. You're going to need it throughout the year. But also, get it out there. One more tip. It's been really good all summer and has taken off in fall camp.
I love tips.
Carson Hansen.
Well, did you read my post-fall camp manifesto for the premium subscribers last week?
I did.
You can subscribe. Again, how do you want to be the most intelligent Cyclone fanatic at your
Not
tailgate?
beyond it. Yeah.
You sign up for Cyclone Fanatic Premium via Patreon or the premium message board. Carson Hansen, I think is, I don't know if he'll split reps, but he's going to get a lot of reps. Okay. You know me, dude. I'm his guy. Like I'm his
right away.
He's my dude. I loved him before I even saw him play. I think that he has a very unique skill set at running back where he can do a lot. He's a better blocker than Abu. He's not as elusive as Abu, but I think he's athletic enough where you can line him up in the slot. Both those guys are. But Hansen's got that size to him that is very intriguing. I love him.
I just from if fall camp is any indication, he's going to be used a lot more than most of the general fans realize.
Good. I love that. And Abu's great, but Abu will be better in November if he doesn't have to take all those
100%
hits.
100%.
Cyclone Fanatic, Williams and Blum here on your game week Sunday. And we're presented by our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing, kelderman.com. They've been open, Blum, for 54 years.
Holy smokes.
Congratulations to the Keldermans on that. That's an incredible feat in 2024. 1970 is when they started. And our guy Jeff was an Iowa State grad in 95. Got a degree in marketing. So if you're out there, we've connected our friends at Mechdyne with Kelderman. We're going to be coming up on Harvest. We're going to talk about the down corn reel and all the great stuff there. But kelderman.com, check out all the great things they do in Oskaloosa. Chappie, Andrew Chaplin, real estate. He's a great friend of ours, and we know it's funny. I hear a bunch about like, well, nobody's buying and selling because of interest rates. Well, sometimes you have to buy and sell. Like, like there's certain times like you have to move for work or you get a divorce or like, and you need a house. And we want you to keep Chappie in mind, Bloom.
All you can ask.
All you can do.
Andrew Chaplin, Hunsicker Realty. And he'll take care of you in all of Iowa, but especially in Ames right there. I'm telling you guys, if you ever thought about moving to Ames, like even if you're in Denver or whatever, I know if you're listening to this, there's probably a pull back home a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
get a realtor on the ground that will get you the home before it gets on the market. That's the little pro tip right there. Yeah.
Giddy up. All right. Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment right here. And it's going to plant your independence, plant Wiffles. We are going to talk about the UConn rumors about the Big 12. Another shameless plug. I absolutely had a premium article up for you guys this morning. People go, Williams, why don't you write anymore? Oh, I still write the same. It's just for all the people who are premium subscribers. It was Brett McMurphy started this thing on Friday night. I was at a concert, got a text about it. Do some digging. Dellinger's on it. So it's now it's common reporting about UConn potentially joining the Big 12 in all other sports. I think in 25 or it was 26. And then it would be football in 31, which would line up with the new television contract. I have so many thoughts on this, Bloom. You know, this is my wheelhouse, and I could talk for 30 minutes by myself on it. Just a couple of quick things here. I know the conversations of go read the reports. I'm not going to repeat everything that these guys have already reported. I do think that there's still presidential skepticism here. This is absolutely a Brett Uermark thing. I also feel like you don't do this. You don't go in on this move unless you're probably looking down the road at the ACC and the situation going on there. If you don't, because even if I'm just wondering, however that works out, I think by 31, the ACC's there's teams that are going to be all over the place looking to get out, and they're in all this litigation and stuff. To me, he's doing this, and then he thinks that he can get, whoever else from the ACC, and honestly, I don't know and he talks all the time. He's obsessed with the national conference thing.
He is.
If you add UConn in basketball, this opens the door. Until 31, they don't bring football. This opens the door to get your Gonzaga thing done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking at. So is this? Call it a prediction if you want. I'm just putting pieces of the puzzle. But the point remains. So from what I heard, he's making a pitch to presidents this week. The presidents, and it sounds like even the ADs are still not on board with this. But I think they think we owe this guy one. He's hit the home run so far. Just let him do it.
He's been perfect almost. So,
yeah.
And he got some pushback with some other stuff he did, and he got it through, and it's been great.
The only thing he's really botched, and I wouldn't even call it botched, the Mexico thing's not working out the way that they wanted to, but that's not a big deal. That's shoot your shot, I don't have a problem with that.
It got some headlines, so from a PR standpoint, at least showed that, hey, I'm going to try it. I don't know if it's going to work.
You have to do that if you're the Big 12. You can't just try and do what everybody else is doing.
It still is a money game to me. I mean, that would be my number one question is financially, how does this actually work? If you're taking on more and not getting more out of it, it's just going to be hard for these programs to function in the short term.
I wonder if you're getting UConn men's and women's basketball. I wonder if ESPN and Fox would give you just a hair more.
And that is
because didn't Fox just lose the Big East to NBC?
Yes. I think I get them all confused. And then honestly, Turner just lost the NBA. So they're going to need some programming. That's why this does make sense to me. Because my first thing is that doesn't make sense financially one iota. You're already taking a bath, which we've talked about is having a significant impact at Iowa State as of right now. You are $11 million short of where you thought you were going to be for next year because of the new schools. That's tough. That's not easy to find just 11 million lying around, which we talked about in this new era when we're trying to get another 22 million on top of that 11 million for revenue sharing. Puts Iowa State in a really tough spot. So adding another school is not ideal at the moment. However, what this says to me is he is dead on serious about my favorite word that I've read too much this weekend, bifurcation, meaning splitting up football rights and basketball rights.
Yes.
So the thought is we are never going to catch them in football, catch them being the Big Ten and the SEC, but our basketball conference is going to be better. And so what if we split up our TV rights and then you get Turner in there, who used to have basketball at the NBA. You get Fox, you get ESPN to bid against itself. You could even bifurcate and get a streamer on there and split it up. It makes a lot of sense. How do you do that? You get the biggest brands you can, and you get somebody from the East Coast in there as well. that is massive and important. So now you can go coast to coast. You could have potentially, you add a Gonzaga in the short term. Maybe you add the ACC schools. Yeah.
You have Kansas, Gonzaga, UConn, and Arizona in the same league.
And Baylor, all national champions. I mean,
Baylor just doesn't have the cachet, but point taken.
They don't.
Point taken.
You steal that and just look what the NBA, and it's not 1-to-1, but it does matter. Look at what the NBA just got in its newest contract, and it was 3x what it got before. And so, not that college football is dying, it certainly isn't, but I think there's a market here, specifically with NIL, that if you get more marketable guys to stay, college basketball is going to continue to increase in value.
Don't look past that UConn women's program either.
That too. Same with women's basketball. Absolutely. Like that whole thing is only going to get larger. And so this move doesn't make sense for 2024, but it might make perfect sense for 2028. Women's sports is going to continue to grow. Women's basketball is going to continue to grow. And I think college basketball, it kind of was in this weird spot with the one and done era and the NBA and the whole NIL. But as it becomes, in my opinion, more professionalized, I think the value goes up. I don't think the value is going down on college basketball at all. And so if you can be the best, you're not going to make college football money from TV, but it's going to be significantly more than it is now. And so this is a bet on basketball more than anything about adding football in Connecticut. The football thing is like, well, we will do that too, but this is a play on long-term basketball, splitting up the media rights. And I think it could work. I think it's very risky in the short term, though, because if you take that on and you don't get that value, you just lost all of your schools, $5 more million.
I think the value will be there, just because I'm not writing off ESPN and Fox is dead. This isn't like a Clay Travis rant here on ESPN. But I think that Amazon sees itself as the top player in this in 2031. Don't look past. I don't think that I don't think Netflix is going to ever own Big 12 rights, but you realize, they had a Joe Rogan live special, the Tom Brady roast. They've got WWE Raw is going to Netflix, I think in 25. They have NFL games. Like, they're getting into the live game. My point is that when you have more competition, it's better for everybody. The Turner thing is important. They're going to want live sports. You've got the WB or like the what's
CW.
That? CW, the old WB. Shows my age right there. There's just more of these players that are spending money, and I guess it's probably been a theme of our show when COVID hit and we started doing this. We've been predicting this, and I don't think it's going to stop. I think Apple is going to be strategic. Again, I don't see the Big 12 ever having like an Apple contract. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but they're going to be more people in the market, and especially the Turner thing's a great point. Like, they value basketball, and I just think that fans are going to hate this. They just are. But like, there's going to be a point in 2032 when you're trying to watch Big 12 basketball and it's in like 4 different locations, like the NFL. To me, that's how you grow the revenue.
Yes,
it's not the days of having 2 television, like what the Big Ten's doing now. They've got 3. They're on Fox, CBS, NBC, and I believe Peacock. They're putting games on Peacock. The Big Ten is everywhere, and it's why they're the richest conference, because they split this thing up, and not everybody has to pay the max amount, and it's a good thing for everyone, and they make more in return. And to me, in 2032, that's where the Big 12 will be. There's going to be the football home, which is about 3 spots. You're going to have more games on like Thursday and Friday nights. And then basketball season, it's going to be hard to find games, but hopefully by that point, the technology, it's all in one spot, and we figured that out as an industry.
No question. I think that I'm less concerned about the access and ease of finding. I would, if I'm Kansas City, I'm nervous. I don't
Yeah.
I don't see this being a long time. I don't know what the contract runs through. I think they extended it a little bit. If you're a traditionalist for the old Big 8 and Big 12, sorry. I mean, that's gone, but that's largely gone anyway. And so
you best evolve or die at this point.
Yeah,
it's not gonna change back.
It's your mark in these presidents, and it's a hard deal as a president because you have had unbelievable change, and you're throwing another wrinkle in there by adding a school when you just thought you'd settle down and figure all this stuff out. So I understand their hesitancy, but getting them East Coast market is something that could really help. It could, but it's no guarantee. Yeah. And I think that's the risky part is
what is the East Coast market? Like, what is that? This is very much a Rutgers Big Ten conversation.
Yeah, I get it. But honestly, Connecticut gets...
No, I know. It's a huge brand.
Yeah. I don't love it, but there are companies that may spend more with the Big 12 knowing that the Big 12 will have some more representation in the area. It's the same reason why your mark was like streaming games at wherever, MSG or at Rucker Park and doing all these things in New York City. They're trying to get there. I mean, no real college owns that area. I mean, no conference owns that area.
The Iowa State fans who were in Boston at the Sweet 16 this year saw it. The UConn fan base is huge.
It's big, and they've been great, and they've got a lot of casuals. They win.
I mean, I'd like to tour around the local scene when I'm in these cities, and I love talking to bartenders. You know how you learn the most about a city? You sit there and you have a great conversation with a bartender, and you tip them well.
Usually starts with, "Is this place haunted?"
Well, yeah, he's been with me too much. But they were all like, "Oh my God, we're just bracing ourselves before the UConn fans get here."
Yeah, hey, Side broke his arm thanks to those people.
They are crazy. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm like with you, the unintended consequences that could come from all this, because you're not adding UConn and then not trying to play a freaking game or a tournament at Madison.
No, you're going to.
Your mark is obsessed with New York.
You're going to New York.
Freaking Rucker Park game or whatever they did, which is fine. I don't care. I am not the curmudgeon that probably coming off as. However, I don't know if this is a good thing for Iowa State. If you bring it in UConn, and let's say I think Gonzaga would struggle, to be honest, in that league. I think that their niche is a lot harder to build.
Whether it's them or Creighton or
I don't want any. My point is, like, Iowa State right now, it's like, well, what do you have? You have an elite coach. You have amazing fans. Well, it's kind of like you're in the SEC in football, and it's just like, no matter how good you are, it's just
going to be hard.
It's going to be really, really hard if you're Iowa State.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard if you're Kansas State. It's going to be hard if you're, it's not just an Iowa State thing. But I don't think that's a reason to not do it. Like, you have to do what's smart and forward thinking. And I wish there was a way to have a football conference and a basketball conference and not have, like, why do we have to have UConn in football? Like, just.
I think it's a great question, but that's the carrot to get them in. Otherwise, they wouldn't come in at all. They would just stay in the Big East because they've got it pretty good right now.
Well, and you do tell them now, it's like, you better invest in football. And a lot of people think that Kansas is doing all of its stuff to its football stadium to get into the Big Ten eventually.
Heard that.
Yeah. So, but if that's the case, then they better invest in football. But they're never going to be good in football. There's no recruiting out there. Nobody cares. They're in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like I don't know, just be Vanderbilt. Put everything into hoops. That's why we have you.
They did win a game in Jack Trice once.
Oh, God. Why?
I had to tell somebody. It was on my mind. I was there, and it was painful, and Seneca fumbled a couple times.
I've explained that my memories with that before is I had verbally committed to the journalism department at Iowa State.
Yeah, it was November of 2002 was that game.
And I sat down. I don't believe that game was on TV.
Nope.
Yeah. But I remember, like, forcing myself to sit and watch these Iowa State games. And I'm just being real with you people. And I know a lot of you who are like, there's a lot of Iowa State fans who were Iowa fans growing up who went to Iowa State. Just embrace us. And I remember like really starting to pay attention to Iowa State football and like rooting for them. It was that frickin' Oklahoma game of that year. Because I had just decided I was going there, and I'm like, yes, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch my future school.
Top 10.
Oh.
It was rough.
And then they didn't win for like, it felt like forever. And then I remember we had a bowl party to watch the Cyclones in Boise.
Mm-hmm. Yep, bad weather that game too. That was rough.
And but meanwhile, that worst part of that year was then the Hawks were like, that was like their dream season.
Yeah, Iowa State beat them, so always scoreboard on that one.
Whitford Danielson, baby.
Whitford Danielson and Seneca. And Tim DeBrink, big play in that one. My guy Tim DeBrink, and still around.
Yes, Tim.
So, but Darius Money Reynolds got some revenge in 2011. We went back over there.
Steele, man.
Steele through three. This is a good.
Great game by Steele. Hell yeah.
But no, I think it could make sense. You're betting on the market continuing to elevate if you're going to do that. And the other part, C-Dub, that it does is it insulates you a little bit more from the Super League concept. Because if you keep adding powerhouse schools in basketball, it's going to be really hard to break that up. Because if I'm a Super League, yeah, it could just be college football only, but that's going to be really hard to pull off. And so I think, the more you can make your college basketball brand better, there's still all this programming from November to March that these networks need. And so being good in basketball is still plays.
All right. Are you ready?
I've been ready for 9 months. Been counting down to this day.
My favorite segment that we do, and it's presented by our friends at TryWebWise.com.
They're back?
They're back, baby.
Yeah.
They weren't leaving. Kidding me? Guys at WebWise, they love this stuff. Right now, Aiden should be hitting the Acity Sax music for everybody.
If you're listening on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, then sorry.
And I do have this Boots Randolph album that the gentleman in LeClaire gave us. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. That will hopefully be in a frame in the next 2 weeks. I'll probably have to get through Cyhawk Week before I'm done with this office, but it is what it is.
I avoided all point spreads, and it was like really hard. It was almost like I was tempted, but I did see the Iowa State one. We always know that one, so I did not look at anything else.
WebWise Solutions, I use them for 712 Media. I use them for what we do at Ollie's Race Day. Great guys. Huge Iowa State fans. Shout out to them. All right. We do have some Thursday games, okay? So here we go. We are starting. Bloom, New Hampshire is at Central Florida.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, some of these are just impossible. Like, that's just impossible. Good luck.
32.
Well, you're wrong. It opened at 33.5. It is steamed up to 41.5.
Whoa, New Hampshire, what happened?
I don't know. That's a big swing. It's a big swing in the line right there.
It's a hot game for those New Hampshireers.
All right, here we go. Maybe the most interesting game, Big 12 game of the weekend. North Dakota State at Colorado.
I like this.
Dion firing Sean Keeler. Our buddy Sean Keeler cannot ask a question to Prime for the rest of the season. We're just going to start referring to Dion as Charmin here on the program.
I would say this about coaches and politicians. Just answer the questions.
Coaches are like, do you ever imagine Dan McCarney being like, Keeler, you're never, because Keeler, like, come on. What are we doing?
I'm over Prime at this point. But North Dakota State is good. They're not North Dakota State of 5 years ago, though. So I think this Colorado 7.
You get this one. It opened at 7.5. It is now 9.5.
Oh, okay.
So we'll give you that one. Oh, here's a good one. Lindenwood at Kansas. So this will be. I don't know where this game is. I don't know where they're playing this, but they're at Kansas. The Wood at KU. What do you got?
Is that Olathe High School?
Are you serious?
No. No, I'm not. But it's one of those things you're like, hey, could it be? Like, no, I don't know where this game is.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm really, really curious.
The Wood is not great. 38.
It is at Children's Mercy Park.
Oh, that's the Sporting KC stadium.
Sporting KC.
Those are my guys. My guys Sporting.
Yeah, I did see that they're doing a bunch of games there. That's cool. That'll be a good venue, actually.
I like that venue. They do a good job. Bunch of Iowa Staters at Sporting KC. 38.
What are the 43.5? Incorrect. You're struggling.
Yeah.
Week 1.
Yeah. I'm okay with struggling.
It's weird. I just went to Oklahoma, and I was going to jump on that one. All right, here we go. Late Friday night. This will be an RV Village special. TCU at Stanford.
Oh.
9:30 kick for us.
Stanford's been down. TCU 8.
9. Well done. Good pull right there. Yeah, Stanford, man. That's an ACC game. Big 12 versus the
ACC.
Big 12 versus the ACC. Here we go. Well, UConn at Maryland.
Oh, we're
going to throw UConn into the guess the point spreads.
It's going to be a 7-year run for you, but you're in. Maryland lost the Tawagalagalola.
Yeah. Who was little brothers?
This is 23.
20, you win. I'll give you that. Usually it's be within 2. I'm going to give you
3.
that.
First week is 3.
Okay, first week is 3. That's fair. Penn State at West Virginia. Good one right here. Big opportunity, Blum. Huge opportunity for the Big 12.
We're Mountaineer Nation for this one.
Yes,
like we
big
really
game right here.
Penn State 7.
8.5. You win.
What time is that game? What time is that game?
11 a.m. First game of the day.
Get me on at the RV Village right there.
Okay, let me sift through these things. South Dakota State at Oklahoma State.
Ooh, South Dakota State's going to be tough again. Rumors, by the way, that Ollie Gordon's hurt. I don't know if anything has come of that. But.
Is it just because Gundy made him practice too much to penalize him?
Okie State 9.
9.5. Well done. You're doing pretty well. Oh, this is a good one. Towson at Cincinnati.
Oh, yes, of course. How could you miss this one? 36.
31.5. You lose.
Too high.
By the way, doing a little research over the weekend, really trying to. Cincinnati's schedule is trash. They could be a kind of surprise team potentially.
Because they might just win against bad teams.
Yeah, I mean they get a pretty good. Their road games are hard. Like they have some at Texas Tech, at UCF, at Iowa State, at Kansas State, at Colorado. But their home games are all I don't know. I don't think they're very good.
That over-under's got to be 5.5?
I could see them getting to a bowl game and still not being very good.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there you go. Cincinnati hot takes here on Williams Blum. All right, let's move on and God, there's so many games because they're all playing FCS schools and stuff like that. This is just a terrible, terrible week 1. North Dakota at Iowa State, 27.5. Do we count Oregon State as a Big 12 team? We do not.
Nope.
Houston is hosting UNLV.
Ooh. It's a fun game.
Wrong team favored here. I'll give you a hint. Wrong team favored.
Well, Houston's must be favored by 6 then.
1.5.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I'm not buying UNLV. I like Barriota. Seems like a reasonable fella.
You're a Willie Fritz guy.
I think I like that play a lot.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The Big 12 nightcap, we go to it. UT Martin is at Kansas State.
Come on.
Come on.
39.
Not bad, son. 37.5.
Oh, right. You know what's going to happen? I love my friends at K-State. Avery Johnson's going to throw and pass for pass and run for 400. And they're going to be oh, this guy.
Heisman.
Here comes the Heisman Trophy.
Start sending out Heisman brochures.
You guys, you're playing Tennessee Martin.
How about Tarleton? Tarleton is at Baylor. That was
Tarleton State. It's down in Texas. I do know that.
Oh, Tarleton. Okay,
Tarleton.
Excuse me.
Yeah. 24.
26.5. You win.
I am pretty good.
You're actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
Quite well. Abilene Christian.
Yes.
Heading into Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders.
Ooh. That's feisty. That's kind of a nearby rivalry there. I think Tech's going to be good at home. I think they put up a bunch of points in this game. I'm going to say 29.
32.5. Should we give it to them? It's schemed up to 34 in some books.
Oh, man. So people are with me.
People are all over Texas Tech.
All over the Red Raiders. Did you see, by the way, that Mahomes is almost like single-handedly funding their new uniform operation? They signed with Adidas.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Where is Purdy getting that deal?
Yeah, Purdy, can you get that Nike deal or something?
Oh, jeez. Okay, we got Southern Illinois at BYU. Massive line movement in this one.
Oh, what do they know? What do they know? I will say BYU 17.
14.5, so you win. They were a 19.5 point favorite.
So, who's the coach at Southern anymore?
No idea.
I don't know. Who's Jerry Kill was there for a little bit. I remember that.
New Mexico at Arizona. Big 12 after dark.
Does this count?
Yeah. They're in the league.
Yeah. New Mexico. Who's worse, New Mexico or New Mexico State? I think New Mexico's worse.
I think New Mexico. Well, wasn't Jerry Kill? He was wearing that
he was
cape.
At State.
Remember, he was wearing that cape in the hockey game, in the bowl game.
I think he was with State. So I think New Mexico was the bad one.
My favorite of these old school coaches that still treat these bowl games like they're the bowl championship game.
He was really mad. He got really mad about something in that game. 29 here.
31.5. You're just killing it. Well done. What about Wyoming at Arizona State?
Oh, I like this game. Upset alert here for my Devils friends.
Devils.
This is probably Arizona State 7.5.
6.5. You win. It opened at 7.5.
Me and Vegas.
Really strong showing by you.
Really good.
I missed one. I'm going back. It's actually quite difficult to do this now because of all of the
next week filter by conference.
Well, the one I do it on to get these early lines for these awful leagues, it doesn't allow that.
Gotcha.
It still has the Pac-12 listed. So it's not. I understand, and I'm not as dumb as you think I am, but it's not that easy. We missed one Thursday night. Southern Utah is at Utah.
Is this Deacon Hill?
No, that is Utah Tech.
Oh.
That would have been great, though.
Dang it, that would have been must-watch television.
And you would just play the shit out of Utah. That was
and the under.
You just hammer it.
The under 0.5. 36.
37.5. You win. Well done.
I might just walk off for the year.
Well, so man, Thursday night, there's a lot of Big 12 games.
We got action now.
UCF, Colorado, Kansas, Utah, all playing on Thursday night. And on Friday night, again, the RV lot special is TCU at Stanford, 9:30 kick.
If you're in the RV lot and you want to watch that, it'll be on. I will provide the Ames loggers.
Yeah, don't come to my camper.
Nope.
My wife doesn't want you there.
We should probably end up at Steve Kemp's camper, honestly, and I'll bring the Ames loggers.
Steve will have actually, you know what? You know what's funny? I am donating my old projector to the Kemp tailgate.
Perfect.
The projector from my basement, they're going to have like a white backdrop and have it there. So Steve will post it. Steve will post like where he's at and all that stuff, I'm sure, on the message board because he always does that. And
Come on out.
I was kidding about my wife. She doesn't care if you stop by. It's not.
I think you're kind of like, I get it.
As long as you're not too drunk around the kids, she's fine. That's where she gets pissed.
Ashley's like, hey.
She doesn't care. Just don't be like slurring your speech, dropping 45 F-bombs around the little girls. I mean, that's a reasonable request, isn't it?
The point is, Steve Kemp or whoever is hosting the tailgate, Ames Logger will be present. And please buy your Ames Logger. Can you do that for me?
Yes.
And tag me in it. Like, shoot me a tweet on X.
Hillary was in town, and we went to a concert on Friday night and then took the girls to the camp on Saturday. And I don't know where he stopped. He found Ames Lager the first stop he made.
There we go. So I got a text.
So that was good. That because it's usually like harder to find, and he found it right away. So that's awesome news.
My friends at West Ove, they're on it. We had a game plan, and they're executing. They had a record production week last week.
Great.
How about this, C-Dub? 1,500 cases in 1 week that they sent out. So that's it's close to 40,000 cans right there for 1 week they made.
That's it? Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's for 1 week. So, hey, help them out, would you, everybody? It helps out the collective, and I think this is going to be a special year, and we're going to need to keep some of these guys right here in Ames to run it back, everybody. So, let's go.
Appreciate our friends at Mechdyne for sponsoring the show. Again, we will be on location Wednesday. If you're one of the great Wiffles customers or employees out there, we'll see you on Wednesday. That's coming up. And then look for our new show. So the new show, The Inside Zone, with Jirel, Colin, Jake, and Jacqueline. Colin's the only one who screws that up. Otherwise, they're all J names. Just thought of that. That will start next week. So after the first game. That will not be this week. You'll have Woody and Mahoney as normal with Kicking It. Williams Blum Wednesday. And then we will be doing all the game day stuff with Leah Nelson. She's going to be hosting it with me. Starting on Saturday. The pregame show, will be out early. It's going to come out on Thursdays usually. It'll be out. Subscribe to our YouTube page is the best way to access this type of content because it'll just pop right up and it'll just be there for you. And we look forward to doing all that. Look forward to meeting some of you this weekend. Bloom and I will be back on Wednesday here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.